As per the cover slide, for those of you who are not familiar with the company, it is Evergold Corp. We went public late in 2019. We're well financed with about $7.5 million in the kitty currently. And I think the key takeaway here is that the drilling is starting very soon on our two Canadian flagship properties, which you see on the cover, Golden Line and Snowball. This is round two, perhaps the round we had hoped to get to last year, but didn't quite get there. This year, we think we could deliver the goods, and I'll walk you through that as we go. The key takeaways and the key value in this company, for those of you who are really exploration oriented, at Golden Line, at Snowball, and at Rockland, we have significant gold zone, a large gold silver zone on surface at Golden Line, which has been drilled. At Snowball, it's a brand new high grade gold silver system at the highest levels on the property. And at Rockland, which is down in Nevada and a recent acquisition, that property has a very similar large gold silver gold zone, slightly deeper, which we think may be sitting on top of a high-grade Midas style system. So we've got gold zones in place and or fresh new discoveries on these three properties. And I'll focus on Golden Line and Snowball today. Slide 3, the Golden Triangle, which Brad was talking about there before, that's it on the left. We're with our Snowball property not far off Highway 37 there, just in this area here, which I'm circling. The Tootagon over here on the right, it's actually in the same rocks as Golden Line. We've begun calling this the Golden Horseshoe lately because they are connected by the same rocks. So I'll briefly mention before moving back to Golden Line and Snowball, Rockland. Rockland we picked up just late last year. It's in Nevada. We weren't looking for it. It was kind of an opportunistic thing. But again, we have good reason to believe we have a large gold zone. We know we have a large gold zone because it's been drilled. And we think it's sitting on top of an undrilled, potentially very high grade gold silver system. So firstly, the Snowball property. There's a bit of a backstory here, just briefly looking at slide 6. There was work on it by Noranda way down here in the bottom right of the image near the number 6. That was back in the early 90s. They were looking for SK style. They had a grid there. They developed a very strong gold silver anomaly. They left their grid open upslope, and we took this property on in 2016. Modeled their work and figured that the source of what they were drilling down below was probably up top along the ridge where you can see Snowball Ridge, Pyramid Peak. So we did our own work up there and we generated really compelling results that have led to the definition of a new high-grade system up there. You can see it outlined in blue dashed lines. There's a particular focal point we put our finger on after the drilling last year wrapped up. We're calling it the C-zone sweet spot, which has very high grade material sitting on surface. And that's the target for this current round of work that's getting underway very soon. This is a different view of Pyramid Peak. The C-zone outlined approximately with the blue dashed lines, and the focal point for this year's work, the red dashed line. We will probably drill it in the direction of the red dashed arrow and the other direction as well. But we have very high grade material, gold and silver, coupled with very high arsenic, which is the key pathfinder here, sitting on surface. So what we delivered last year it interested the market. It didn't knock it out of the park for us. We delivered a series of genuinely high grade, but narrow intercepts. You can see some of them here, 12, 20, 18 grams over narrow widths, 1.5 meters, etc. We think we could potentially do much better this year based on what we're seeing in the C-zone sweet spot. Slide 9 is a photo of some of the material we drilled. Tends to be arsenopyrite rich. a lot of pyrrhotite, pyrite, quartz, your typical epithermal system here. Slide 10 is an example of some of the rocks which are scattered all over this property. And on the right is one boulder that runs very strong grades between 80 and 100 grams per ton of gold, and anywhere from 4 to 500 grams per ton silver. We've taken several samples off it. And this table in the middle there, you can see in red some of the gold values, in the silver values in blue. So we have it in drilling, we have it in rocks, and we have it in assays as well, talus fines all over the surface. This is a close-up, slide 11, of the C-zone sweet spot, which we intend to drill in the forthcoming season. On the right, if you care to look at it after, are some of the values of arsenic. The arsenic is really key to the high grades here, and we're getting booming high grades in the rocks and in the talus fine sampling that we carried out after the drilling wrapped up. We could not reach this area from our single drill pad last year, which was located at the top of this image. You can see the apex pad indicated up there. We could not reach down to here, but we will hit it this season. This is another view of the C-zone in blue dashed line, and the target of much of this work. This is conceptual. These red lines are really proposed holes for this season. You can be assured that this is going to evolve as we get into the field, but it's a very juicy target, and we're on the top of the system here, and we believe it runs a long way down. So the focus is to hit it on surface and follow it to depth. I'll take you now through the Golden Line property. It's different, it's epithermal. Again, that's over on the right here in the Tootigan. Those of you who might be following Benchmark and some of the other stories there, we're about 24 kilometers north. This is traditionally a high-grade, smaller mine play, but it's evolved in recent years with the work Benchmark is doing toward more of a bulk tonnage area. We have potentially, and we believe we already have, very similar to what Benchmark has in our Golden Line GL1 main target. So this is a close-up of GL1 main zone. This was drilled by Newmont way back in the early 80s, early to mid 80s. And we've supplemented their drilling with some drilling ourselves last year, and basically have demonstrated that this gold-silver system has quite a long strike length to it, over 800 meters where it's been drilled now, over 150 meters true widths. The excitement is really what lies below, or what we believe lies below all of this drilling that's occurred. This is a low-grade, on-surface, shallow zone, which has got considerable dimensions. What is really exciting is the work I'll show you in a minute that resulted from our geophysics work in September last year. On slide 17, these are some of the intercepts we've had, anywhere from 50 to 88 or more meters. We believe these are probably true widths. All of these holes collared in mineralization, and none of them exited the system. So consider it a preliminary take on this system, but the grades are quite consistent. This is some of the material we drilled last year. And I'll take you through now what the real excitement is for the next phase of the program, commencing just next month. So we're just weeks away from starting. We did geophysics below and along strike and across strike around our drilling last year. And we have a very strong chargeability and a coincident resistivity target, which is just below the drilling that you can see here. That is the immediate focus for the next round of work. This is a plan view. Again, there's GL1 main, center of this image. It's open along strike, and we believe it actually is possibly plunging down below our first hole of the season last year. We're kind of calling this a chargeability donut. I'll show you slide 22. This is a much better view of it. All the drilling's been along one side here, and this system appears to be open to the west and open north. So whether it's an intrusion related epithermal system, presumably it is, we are basically going to drill in the near term this juicy looking target that lies below this very large zone. This is a view of our camp last year. That's in place, and it's allowing us to kick off the program early in June this year, much faster than last year. So I'll take you through Rockland, Nevada now. This property is similar to Golden Line in the sense that it seems to have, from drilling, and this drilling, much of it was done by BHP, it has a broad gold zone. This model on slide 25 is Leapfrog, and it was done by Kinross a number of years ago, who was looking at this property. It's similar in scale to what we already have at Golden Line. But what's really exciting about it is not only that it's got gold and silver at lower grades and some very high grade structures within this big blob, but it's got the Pathfinder signature, arsenopyrite, antimony, and other trace elements that is typically reflects an epithermal system. And we think and we know it's never been drilled below it. So we believe the potential for a Midas or sleeper mine style high grade, they call it Bonanza style down in Nevada, system below this drilled area is very strong, which is why we really picked this property up. This is a plan view of it. It's about 800 meters long. True widths, I'll show you a cross section, the next slide, 27. This is a cross section. The widths here are around 200 meters. There are high grade structures carrying genuine high grade material, 5 feet or 20 grams, for example. They're cutting through this big envelope of low grade material. So it's a pretty juicy looking target. We will not drill this, however, until next year. These are some of the intercepts historically there, 183 meters of 0.4, 109 of almost a gram, so on and so forth. On the west side of the Rockland property, there's an old mine from the cowboy days. These in green, you see the adits. This is work by BHP here. Very consistent high-grade vein system here. They took out only the high-grade veins historically, and this was between 1870 and 1930. I'll show you a section down here at the bottom of the image, AA, on the next slide. This is typical of what they did. You can see the adit 900 level there on the left of the image. They'd mine out the high grade and they left broad zones of stockwork around it. We're not so much interested in the old mine area here. It does have potential. What we're really interested is Rockland East, where I showed you the leapfrog image, because we believe the entire system is preserved there, in contrast to here at the old mine 2 miles to the west, which we think a large part of the system has been eroded away. You're looking at the roots of the system here. We believe it's intact at Rockland East. So it could get very exciting. This is a view of Rockland East. And just briefly an overview of our near-term plans. We're kicking off at Golden Line, 2,500 meters of drilling, 300 soil samples, quite a bit of IP that has been really effective. And we'll start that program on June 1, the camp mob in. It'll take us a couple of weeks probably to get everything ready for the drilling to start. Snowball, we're going to start later in July because of what we learned last year about the snowmelt conditions up there. It'll be very similar in scale to Golden Line, 2,000 meters. And Rockland, we've already completed quite a bit of work there this year. We're going to do more geophysics, but again, that won't happen in terms of drilling until next year, 2022. So the focus near term and the potential upside is from Golden Line and Snowball. Just briefly on the capital structure, we have 73 million shares out at the minute. We are well financed, as I mentioned before. There was bought deal financing in February at 20 cents. So we're trading well above that at the current time. We're well financed. We have everything we need, and the programs that I just outlined on Golden Line and Snowball will leave us deploying that cash and allowing quite a liberal amount for the next year's operation. We'll still have more than $2 million free that we can use to expand both phase 2 programs at either Snowball or Golden Line, subject to success. Briefly on our management and board of directors, we're all either geologists or geophysicists. Charlie Gregg here is a partner of mine down bottom right. Charlie and I were actually the founding team at GT Gold, which we've just sold out basically to Newmont. So we're really trying to do it again. Charlie is the largest single shareholder of Evergold and our key technical director. Rosie Moore here came out of Voisey's Bay, worked with Ross Beatty and a lot of people. Darwin Green with High Gold. So we have a good group of people. Andy Mitchell's our VPX. Charlie's really our chief technical officer. And we're all set for the current season. That's really all I can tell you, other than we're well financed, and we do believe this next phase of work has the potential to generate really compelling results for this company. Thank you.